Welcome to the Leadership Spark podcast, where we equip you to be the great leader your people deserve. This is Corey, and today we're going to continue the conversation that we started yesterday around this idea of the imposter syndrome. And if you didn't listen to yesterday, go back and listen to it. But one of the things we talked about is that your life will always head in or go in the direction of your strongest thoughts. And the imposter syndrome is a thought pattern that we have, a narrative in our mind that is telling us that we are imposters. And so we're going to spend a few days unpacking that. Today, I want to talk about how to define it and give you some ways that it may manifest itself, which I think as I look through these, all of these resonate with me at some level during different seasons of my life, maybe even weekly, that I will think or I'll feel these things. So, but at its core, the imposter syndrome is the belief that your success is based on luck, that you are in the position that you're in. You got promoted to be a leader, or you got promoted to be an executive, or whatever that may be, you fill in the blank, that you are there due to luck, not your talent. That you didn't earn your way there, you lucked your way there. It wasn't your effort, it wasn't your qualifications, it wasn't your talent that gave you the opportunity, it was luck. And so you have this inner voice, I have this inner voice that is oftentimes saying, I don't really deserve this. Or saying eventually someone's going to figure out that I'm not supposed to be here and I'm not really qualified for this opportunity that I'm responsible for. And so that's what the imposter syndrome is. And although the imposter syndrome has been around as long as human beings have been around, it wasn't until the 1970s that someone identified it and labeled it as the imposter syndrome. And one of the experts in this space, her name is Valerie Young. She has come up with 5 different types of imposter experiences. And as I was looking through Valerie Young's stuff, it's like, this really resonates with me. So I wanted to share it with you because this kind of unlocks and gives some context for the imposter syndrome and what it may look like. So I'm going to share these 5 with you. Your go and do is to identify which ones do you resonate with? Which ones do you resonate with? And then you can take the step of, okay, let me identify the thought patterns that I have that are fueling this type of imposter experience that I could be having. And so number 1 is this, it's the perfectionist. And I can relate to this. This means that you have impossibly high standards for yourself. Even if you are 99% successful, you hit 99% of your goal. What are you focused on? You're focused on the 1% that you missed as a perfectionist. A small mistake can really kick us into a spiral of self-doubt to where that imposter syndrome, imposter narrative starts to take over in the way that we think about ourselves. And so you may be the perfectionist. You may be the expert. The expert, you feel like you need to know everything before you can start. That before you start something, you need to know everything. You want to apply for a job. You want to apply for a promotion. You want to have a conversation with your boss until you meet every single qualification that there is about that job. And so that may mean you hesitate to ask questions because you're afraid that you'll look like you don't have all the answers. And so some of you and some of me at times, it's the expert. The natural genius is the next one. You believe that if something doesn't come easily, then you must not be good at it. You try something and you're not excellent at it the first time you do it. And so you just conclude that I'm just not good at that. And I'm not cut out for this. You don't even give yourself a shot to be able to be good at something or learn something new. And so you could be the natural genius, or you could struggle with that from time to time, or the soloist. And this one, all of these hit home for me to a certain extent, but this one hits home for me. You feel like asking for help means you're a failure as a leader. That if you have to raise your hand and say, I don't know, I need help, then you're failing as a leader. And you feel this need to be great at everything. And that adds a tremendous amount of pressure because I can't be great at everything. And so it opens up this space for this imposter syndrome narrative to take shape. The last one is the super person. This one resonates, I know, with me and a lot of people who are high achievers who are listening to this, is that you feel like at the end of the day, you overwork, you overcommit, you push harder than everyone else to prove that you're not the imposter and that you have to have it all together. But inside, you constantly question if you're enough. And so I want you to listen to those. Go back and listen to them again. Which one of these 5 resonate with you? Which one of these 5, as I was reading them and you were listening to them, were you raising your hand or you thinking, wow, that's me? You just nailed me when it comes to the imposter syndrome. And so now if you've identified it, you can stop and you can pause and you can think about what you think about. And you can start to capture those thoughts. And tomorrow come back because we're gonna talk about 2 practical ways that you can do that whenever you identify that you're having imposter syndrome thoughts.